Boom shakalaka. Is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in trouble? Today's video, we're going to look at this shocking news behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Also, some very interesting charts to see if we can determine the direction of Bitcoin and if it's a great time to buy or a better time to sell. You'll definitely want to stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Randall here from Crypto Love. Today's video, we're talking about what's going on with Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin in trouble? Is now the time to buy or to sell? Because, like it or not, despite yesterday's jump out of extreme fear, we have gone right back to extreme fear today. Now, before we get into things, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, come join us over on Twitter at the Crypto Love, and let's get into it. The extreme fear today. People are scared once again. The markets tumble a little over 3% for the day. Bitcoin at 36,916, Ethereum at 24.99, BNB at 368, Cardano at 101, Solana $89, XRP 58 cents, and Dogecoin 13 cents, overtaking Terra, which has just been tumbling. Look at that onomatopoeia. I think that's what it's called. Well, a lot of this is based on this news article right here. White House wants crypto rules as a matter of national security. That's right. You can send money outside of the country. That means the government doesn't have the control around people's necks like it used to. Uh-oh, that is a matter of national security. Now, what's going to happen about this in the long term? I don't particularly know, but it is causing a lot of fear in the markets. Not only that, but we have the talk of lengthening cycles. We have the talk of diminishing returns. According to this chart here from Trading Shot, we could maybe see a $100,000 top, but that'll be it if we're lucky. So he published this chart back in 2020, and he's saying, hey, this is potentially pretty close because he has a few triangles based on the logarithmic MACD. He has triangle 1, triangle 2 created by the divergence of the December 2017 high, and triangle 3 if there's divergence equal to the December 2017 high. Now, based on these, he created this logarithmic channel, which has lengthening cycles. You can see the length of these green areas and also these triangles getting a little bit longer each time, but also diminishing returns. It just nails the top pretty much every time. And based on this, the $70,000 could have been already the top, like the Pi cycle chart dictated, like Trading Shot was saying that $70,000 is the top. Now, there's a potential where we could potentially, if we have a swing of the MACD, the LMACD, potentially if this swings up, we could potentially hit $100,000 before it comes back down to end this cycle. That's a possibility. But let's take a look at a shorter time frame to see what's going on, and then we'll take a look at a longer time frame and talk about things for Bitcoin before you go slit your wrists and do stuff like that. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Now, if we take a look at Bitcoin since the top here back in November, we've had this nice little downtrend. Now, this is on a logarithmic scale, but that's because Bitcoin grows based on the number of users. Moore's Law, is that one? Well, because of that, potentially could be subject to logarithmic growth. And if we see here, look at this, been pretty solid resistance since November. Now, Bitcoin is still trading between $30,000 and $53,000, which has been doing for the past year. So pretty much for the past year, status quo. Nothing has changed for Bitcoin. But a couple areas I do want you to see, because if this resistance holds, well, potentially we could be breaking below this $30,000 area by April. And then we could potentially be coming to the $20,000 previous all-time high by June. Now, are these dates any surprise? Not necessarily, especially this April area, because if we take a look at Bitcoin's historic average returns from 2014 to 2018, if we take a look at this, we can see that January and March are historically the worst months for Bitcoin. Now, there are many reasons for this. Nobody knows for sure, but there's speculation. Things like Chinese New Year, things like taxes, and that's pretty much it. But if we take a look at that overall from January to April, we would expect negative 17% returns on Bitcoin on average per year. And if we take a look at it, yeah, looks like we're seeing that potentially could bring us down to this little wedge right here. But that's in April. And if we take a look what happens in April and May and June, July, August, hey, you know what? Those are some profitable months historically. So that's what we could have coming up in the future for Bitcoin. And then this whole idea of a $70,000 top. This is something, I know that we may have lengthening cycles, and I know, but basically, those are all just speculations. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody can predict the future. So since we're all trying to, I want to give you my future predictions, especially why I don't think we actually saw the top at $70,000. Now, it did flag a pi cycle top, but if we take a look, each of the previous tops broke wherever Bitcoin price was at the next halving. So back here in 2013, the price had already broken the Bitcoin price in the 2016 halving. You can see by this dotted line, which trace it back, already broke there. Same thing in 2017. This already broke the price of Bitcoin at the 2020 halving. Now, if we were to follow the same trend line, and granted, this is an if, we're speculating, but that 2024 halving, well, the lowest possible price in this orange trend line where we are, the lowest possible price right there would be roughly about $100,000. We did not yet break that. So, based on that, it would be less likely that we have had our blow off top. And furthermore, if we take a look at the RSI right now, this is the weekly RSI, we can see that it is almost in extremely oversold territory, almost down to this 30 area right here. Now, historically, some points of interest when Bitcoin was down in the same area. Well, we had back here pretty much the bottom back in 2011. Not only there, we had pretty darn close to the bottom back in 2015. Not only there, we had pretty darn close to the bottom in 2018. Not only there, we had exactly the COVID bottom. So based on that weekly RSI, we are again probably historically one of the best opportunity places to buy Bitcoin spot, not leverage. If you want to fuck yourself, buy leverage, but we don't like to do that because we like to fuck other people. That's just the way it goes. So that brings us to this chart here, the NVT price model. Bitcoin is currently trading between the 28 and 90-day fair value models based on the NVT. Now, the NVT shows the on-chain volume relative to market cap. So right now we have high on-chain volume. Market cap is relatively low. And as we can see, again, very, very low. And at all of these areas, guess what? These were insane buy opportunities pretty much every time. You would have bought very, very good areas. So that also saying that, hey, could be a great time to at least consider accumulating some Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies if you can handle the fear. Because if you can't, you shouldn't be in the market. And if you don't have the money to put there and potentially lose, again, don't be in the markets because it's going to be volatile. It's going to be rough. But in 10 years, you will pat yourself on the back for doing this. Now, that being said, an alternate view of Bitcoin cycles. We have, instead of 3 cycles, maybe we only have 2. Macro impulse 1, macro impulse 2, and then macro correction 1, macro correction 2. Now, as you can see, giant upwave, and then price comes down. We hover in the 0.236 fib area. We hover in the 0.618 fib area, and then we max out at the 0.618 above there. So, if that would be true, well, potentially we had our macro correction, and then we have the first part of the macro impulse, which would have been the 2017 bull run if you were counting 3 cycles. Instead of this being the 3rd cycle, this would just be the latter part of the 2nd cycle. Well, then price comes back down, hovers in the 0.236, goes up to the 0.618, and then eventually tops out again at the 0.618 at a price of roughly $178,000 Bitcoin. So, that being said, should we be fearful? Yeah, I think a little bit of fear is good. You know, you're not going to do crazy, stupid stuff. But do we really have to worry about this? I would say not as much as people may make you think. Because, you know, is the White House going to do things that's really going to cripple companies that have already invested in Bitcoin? Like Tesla, like MicroStrategies, like some of the other large companies, ARK Invest and other ones like that. I don't think they're going to do something to severely cripple them. I think they maybe just be adding more regulation so that the market can move forward, maybe more regulatory clarity. And if we believe any of the charts we've seen here, well, then potentially now might be a great time to stock up on Bitcoin and some undervalued alts. So guys, that's all for today's episode. If you did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will catch you guys later. Love you. Peace.